Welcome to the Pretty Powerful Podcast, where powerful women are interviewed every week to share real inspiring stories and incredible insight to help women or anyone break the barriers, be a part of innovation, shatter the glass ceiling, and dominate to the top of their sport, industry, or life's mission. Join us as we celebrate exceptional women and step into our power. And now, here's your host, Angela Gennari.
Hello, and thank you for joining me for another episode of the Pretty Powerful Podcast. My name is Angela Gennari, and today I am here with Irena Azaraev. Am I saying that right? Azaraev.
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 A-Z-A. Azaraev, yes.
Okay. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Angela. Thanks so much for having me.
My pleasure. So I think you guys are going to really love her because she's got such great entrepreneurial experience, but she actually spent her life in corporate. So she started the BYou Laser Clinic, where they are now up to just about to open your 7th location. Is that right?
Yes,
Yeah,
Angela.
that's
right.
amazing.
We've tapped into the U.S. market. I myself come from Toronto, lived in Toronto for 19 years. We have a sister company there called Canada Med Laser Clinics. And 3 years ago, when my daughter mentioned to me, Mom, I want to go to Pace University, we've decided to move to New York. And I've tapped into the U.S. market 3 years ago. And since then, opened up my first location in downtown Brooklyn.
Nice.
On Flatbush. And since then, we've been doing exceptionally well.
Wow.
And expand to other.
So tell me what made you take the leap from corporate to opening your own clinic?
You know what? I think learning so much in corporate world, managing people. I also have an analytical background. And I think the push from my other half was, hey, Irena, you're so strong in numbers. You're so strong in managing and leading a team. Why don't you do something of your own? And I've always been a huge fan of beauty, Botox, lasers, facials, all of that. So when you test it on yourself and you love those treatments, and then when someone says, why don't you, try to get into this type of a business, it just worked perfect for me.
Yeah.
It was a risk there, going from corporate to owning something of your own. But I think sometimes you have to get into your discomfort zone to know what you're capable of.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. And your corporate background was so different than this. It's not like you had a lot of training into the medical industry, right? Like, tell me about your corporate background.
Corporate background has always been, I was a buyer. Again, going from accounting and finance world into the buying and merchandising, and then at the end, just leading the analytical team of forecasting the sales forecast for 3 years, 5-year, 10-year period. Pandora Jewelry is, my last job was Pandora Jewelry. I overseen the North American. They have over 900 locations, mostly franchise owned. So that's one thing that I have had in common with BYou Laser.
Yeah.
So leaving that and venturing out into your own business, again, huge risk. When someone works 9 to 5 and used to getting paid every other Friday, and all of a sudden leaving that and going into something totally different, into the medical world where there's licenses, certifications, dealing with people, no more product, because I've dealt with product all my life, dealing with customer service. I think it's a total different field, but sometimes you surprise yourself when you get into the uncomfort zone and realize what you're capable of.
Oh my gosh. Yes, absolutely. I agree with you. It's so different. Like, it's that fear of taking the leap that holds us back. But once we do it, we're like, wow, why didn't I do this 10 years ago? Why didn't I do this 5 years ago? Like I'm better than I thought I was going to be at this, right? And we're going to have hiccups and we're going to have our challenges. But so tell me about some of the challenges that you had in starting your business.
The challenges I faced was upon starting my business. I would say the number one thing is we were supposed to open right before COVID started. So construction was done. We were working on the marketing assets, launching our first location, and boom, we get COVID.
Wow.
So that was the first surprise. And everyone around me said, do not open, do not open in the middle of COVID, do not even open, wait until COVID is done. I decided to go against all the odds and open in July of 2020, right in the middle of COVID.
Wow.
Yeah, and having the background of the analytical side, I projected out the numbers before COVID. So I had to sort of go back and reduce the numbers during COVID because I'm like, oh my God, everyone is saying COVID, it's a
Right.
huge, everybody's dealing with it. And you know what? This was the first surprise I've received as an entrepreneur. Um,
Hmm.
Seeing the results from July 2020 to December for that
Hmm.
half a year, my results were we surprising enough, we've done triple digits versus what originally planned for. So that was
Wow.
a huge, yeah, so that was a huge achievement there.
That's awesome. Good for you. Yeah, it's so
Yeah,
scary when you're in the middle of whether it's a recession or a pandemic and, just knowing that you have to move in order to start, right? Like, because if you can't start, you're never going to go anywhere. But also, it's a huge risk because nobody can predict the future. We couldn't tell when we were going to emerge from COVID in a good way, right? Like, we had no idea.
exactly. Yeah. And I think the biggest also difference I noticed from corporate to owning your business is something like COVID when it's a pandemic. I had to change all of the plans I originally planned.
Yeah.
So again, going back to 6 month, year or year and a half planning that I've done and what I've
Hmm.
projected out for my employees, what are the treatments I will be doing, everything had to be
Yeah.
last minute
Yeah.
changed. And so yeah, that was a nice
Hmm.
awakening.
Yeah. Well, and then I'm sure you have to add on to your costs with PPE and other things, social distancing. You probably had to incorporate all of that into your business then as well.
Absolutely. And I think, and I really do also believe is being compassionate,
Hmm.
have that empathy towards what was happening around you, around your business. And again, that we're not dealing with product, we're dealing with treatments. So are we being
Yeah.
careful? Are we being cautious towards people? And it's the new business, so customer service is number one.
Right.
So again, a lot of learning takeaways, but I think if I had to go back, I would not change it in a bit. I would actually go through this again
Wow.
just to learn. Yeah,
Yeah, it's just character building, right? It teaches you what you're built, how you're built. So you realize the resilience that you have, and then
absolutely.
other challenges become minimal. So, once you've been through something like COVID, and we shut down for 5 months in my business. And so I used that time initially to do, little things like
Hmm.
home repairs that I had been putting off. But then I got into business coaching because I was just looking for a way
Yeah,
to reach out and connect with people. And just like the way things have happened, like I think it worked out the way it was supposed to work out. That kind of led me to this podcast. So yeah, so it was an interesting time, but it does teach you what you're made of.
absolutely, absolutely.
So tell me, once you started your first location, what then said, okay, I'm ready to expand? Like, how was that expansion? Was it, did you know you wanted to expand before you even started your first one?
Yes, because of the Canadian market, our sister company in Canada did so well. We
Mm-hmm.
knew the formula to success. All I had to do is test it out in US, and what is the best state to test it out in is New York, to see if you
Mm-hmm.
can survive in New York,
Yeah.
you can survive anywhere.
This is true.
So the long-term plans was always to expand, but it wasn't to expand in such a short-term time frame. So the success from the first location really was so surprising and really felt rewarding that we just went on with with our next location within a year.
Wow, good
And
for you.
thought of the Manhattan. So we're like, all right, now we have a location in Brooklyn. Let's tap into every borough. And the next steps was to venture out to Manhattan location,
Wow, that's
the city.
awesome.
Yeah,
Well, and I'm sure very expensive, which leads me into my next question. How do you finance all this? Are you, as women, I think that sometimes we can have some more challenges when it comes to finding finances, especially institutional finance. So how did you find the income to be able, or the the funds to be able to expand rapidly into all these locations, because I'm in the process of scaling my business right now, and it's the most expensive and stressful thing I've ever done. And so,
That's a good question, Angela. I would
mhm,
say I've utilized a lot of my skills that I've had from a corporate world. Again, going back to analytics, going back to
yeah,
numbers. So I've taken that the COVID time frame and analyzed the results I've received from my first location, and really was very uh, careful with the cost. I was very cost conscious,
mhm,
and therefore had some revenue that I could invest into the second location.
yeah,
There was also learnings and mistakes that we've done from the cost standpoint of view with the first location that we have not repeated into the second location. I
mhm.
did not finance anything. I really just whatever revenue
Self-funded.
we've saved up, we've implemented. At that time, also the city location was much cheaper, surprising
Hmm.
enough,
Interesting.
because was much cheaper than the downtown Brooklyn, because
Wow.
during COVID, a lot of people have sort of moved out of the city, so it was perfect time to tap into the
Wow.
into the real estate and actually rent out a great location in the city.
Wow, that's fantastic. Good for you for capitalizing on that
Yeah.
opportunity, because you're right. I mean, you have to take advantage of those little small wins when you can get them. And, with the self-funding, I did the same thing with mine. Like, I just kept reinvesting the money that we would make. Any
Yes,
profits went
yes.
right back into the business and right back into the business. And that just sustained us for years. And, I've had my business now for 8 years, but we've
Oh, wow.
remained
Nice.
self-funded for the entire time, because we just reinvested
Excellent.
all back in. And it helps with the foundation, it helps with grounding. It also helps with you being more mindful of what you're spending, right? Because if you
Yes,
if you
yeah,
have a limited budget, some of these companies that get VC funding, they just spend money like it's meaningless to them, because there's this endless pool of resources when you have, venture capital. But when you're a small business and you're a startup and you're self-funding it and you're reinvesting back in, you're much more mindful of how you spend that money.
absolutely. And I think overall strategic planning,
Mhm.
looking at your business, learning your business from different aspects,
Right.
thinking outside of the box. It really yeah, it works.
Yeah, 100%. So then you started to think about franchising. So how did the franchising model come about? Did you initiate that, or did somebody come to you?
Oh yeah, so the way it works with our I keep going back to the Canadian market. We have 4 corporate
Sure.
locations and
Uh-huh.
then ventured out to the franchise. So I was waiting to open another corporate. I didn't think of the franchising in the first at least 3 to 4 years. I said, you know
Yeah.
what, we'll venture out to franchising model only after 5 years of being open in US. So then I had an opportunity where someone just came in and said, you know what, I love what I see in your Brooklyn and Manhattan location. I have the funds. I would love to be part of BU. Is it possible to make me
Wow.
a partner? And that's how we sort of started having that discussion. Um, the best part of the first franchise location and the owner and the operator of the first franchise location, it's a mom of 4 kids. She
Wow.
has not worked for 7 years. And I thought it's a risk I took, and I thought, you know what? Sh what she asked for is she asked for to become her own person. She wanted to really feel that she can prove to her husband that she can be a business savvy female who actually juggles balancing life between, has work-life balance between raising 4 boys, all
Wow.
under the age of 7,
Oh my goodness.
and and she was actually, and you know what's funny, she was actually expecting one more, and then I'm like,
Wow.
and then she says, I saved all this money, my husband and I saved all this money, Irina, help us venture out into BU. I believe in BU. I think that's one thing that really
Yeah.
um really got me going, is because of the passion
Mhm.
she had for BU, for my brand. And once we've done that, we were great partners. I've held her by the hand and sort of guided her to the right direction. All I asked from her is make sure that you're invested, your time is invested into this, and you
Yeah.
listen and work with my team because we're here to support you.
Mm-hmm.
She opened the first location, the first franchise location, opened of September 13th, exactly a year ago, in Long Island, Long Beach.
Uh-huh.
And guess what? Another successful outcome. So
Wow.
we're actually doing a testimonial on her on Monday, a video of her with a testimonial. And I have to tell you, she called me 3 days ago to tell me she purchased her first home,
Wow.
a nice home in Long Beach, dream house, she said.
Wow.
And she said her exact words were, dreams do come true with you.
That's so cool. I love
So
that
yeah,
so much.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
So,
yeah. So it feels good.
I've heard if you want to if you want to get something done, give it to a mom because we're really good at multitasking and we will make it work somehow.
And it's interesting. She actually told me, she goes, I've surprised myself that I can
Yes.
juggle between two. And my husband is like, wow, you can do this.
That's amazing. Well, good for her. That's a great
Yeah,
story. So what a perfect first franchise scenario, right? Where you
yes,
actually
yes,
have a great proven business model, not just corporately, but also with your franchise. So that's
yes,
amazing. Good
yes,
for her.
absolutely. Yeah.
So tell me who inspires you in what you're doing.
You know, coming into US originally when I was 9 years old as an immigrant from Russia, I
Mm-hmm.
would say I've always learned to surround myself with great, strong, or I was lucky, I guess, to be surrounded myself with great, strong mentors and leaders
Mm-hmm.
across the board. But those mentors and leaders end up being females.
Wow,
So it
that's
was my,
awesome.
so yeah, it was my grandma first. She's raised 4 kids on her own, divorced very young. She was a very young mom, immigrated from Russia to New York, um, learned to juggle work, never asked for help. And the one thing that she always taught me is to be true to yourself, be very focused on your goal. Don't ever give up. Doesn't matter if you're, a female or, if don't ever think just because you're a female and you're a mom and you're a single mom, you can't do it. That was at least from her life experience that she learned. So stay focused, never give up. And the two words that she taught me is no such thing as I can't and no such thing as I don't know.
Yes,
Those two
yes.
things. No such thing as I can't. And if someone asks you a question, never answer, I don't know. I'll look into it. Let me come back to you. And no such thing as I can't. Always try to see what you can do because and that's same thing goes for my mom, which is her daughter. Same thing. I think I've surrounded myself with strong mentors and leaders that they all immigrated in their mid 40s. And it's not easy to immigrate in your mid 40s with
Yeah,
children,
yeah.
not having an income, not knowing the language. And
Mm-hmm.
once, yeah, so I think that was a huge lesson learning for me, at least.
Yeah, very sage advice because yeah, the not limiting yourself in your own beliefs, right? Because I think we're only limited to what we're limited to in our own heads. And so if
Yes,
you constantly tell yourself, I can't do this and I don't know that and I don't know how to do this, then you're limited, right? But
yeah.
if you see everything as an opportunity to learn or an opportunity to try, those are the powerful tools that you have to you know grow and become who you want to be. So yeah,
And
absolutely.
actually, I've implemented that into my 3 kids as well. So one day,
Nice.
and I said to them, you at least have electronics now. You have everything. You have all source of different resource that you can use. So
Yeah,
no such thing as I can't and I don't know, please.
that's exactly right. Exactly right. So, so as women, we give our power away all the time. So it could be something simple like, giving somebody else credit when we've done the hard work on it, or allowing somebody to criticize us and not standing up for ourselves. So can you tell me about a time that you gave your power away, and then maybe another time that you stepped into that power?
Absolutely. So I'll go back to my corporate world, reporting into the CFO.
Mm-hmm.
The CFO actually had a monthly town hall meetings, and I was supposed to, so I was behind the scene actually preparing everything for him.
Yeah.
The best part though out of this was he was always, and when he was doing the town hall in front of the global management team, he was always credited. At one point, I thought, you know what? I wonder if he acknowledges all the hard work I put into this because it's
Yeah.
my PowerPoints, it's my presentations. But really, at the end of the day, he did acknowledge. He actually, at one of the town hall meetings, said, all the hard work goes into Irina and her team. And he actually offered for me to run one of the town hall meetings afterwards,
Oh,
um,
nice.
because he wanted to show that it's okay to share your power. It's okay to um, the one thing I've learned from him, that he was not afraid to give up his leadership skills back into his team and show them, hey, you guys can be as great as leaders as I am. That skill I've implemented in my day-to-day business right now in BYou Laser Clinics.
Mm-hmm.
I always say, my success does not come from me. My success, I'm just behind the scene really doing strategic planning. My success comes from my team. I have
Mm-hmm.
27 people on my team.
Nice.
Uh, these girls or the whole team, um, they face day-to-day challenges with the
Mm-hmm.
customers, with the treatments. Um, so I treat my team as my customers. I treat my team as my family. So in order for me to provide great services to them, so that way they're happy. And when the customers come in, they feel that great energy. I also would say that believing in them and
Mm-hmm.
showing them that and emphasizing on the strong skills that each individual has. You know, one individual can be a great communicator, another individual can be a great leader, and taking those skills and combining, I think
Mm-hmm.
what got me going where I am now. I have 7 locations in 3 years, really because I'm thankful to the great team I have.
Wow, that's outstanding. I love it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so how has your team evolved? Like how do you when you're developing a business and you're going so fast, you guys have gone so fast in 3 years.
Mhm.
How do you set the foundation for scaling that allows it to happen fairly seamlessly? Like where do you
Absolutely.
start?
Listen, let me first say we're not perfect. There's
Yeah.
always mistakes, but I think mistakes are good. I used to be afraid to make mistakes because I'm such a perfectionist with numbers
Mm,
that I thought, but from mistakes we learn a lot. So in the beginning we've made a lot of mistakes, we've learned a lot, but now I've hired a strong support system, a support team for my team. So I've got the HR team. I've got the accounting team. So I mean, there is a full team in place to support my team. And one thing I would say also is building a 3 month, 6 month, 9 month performance reviews,
mm,
performance. So we check in all the time. We look at their skills. I also always ask my team, where do you see yourself in a 3 year, 5 year, 7 year plan? Because I want to see, I don't want to have unhappy, like I say to you, I treat my team like customers. I don't want to have unhappy team
yeah.
members. I really want them to feel like their voice is heard. In the corporate world, it's hard to have your voice heard. In BYou Laser Clinic, I want to make sure, hey, I hear your voice. I'm here for you. And then I also identify with HR's help what each team member is skilled for.
Okay.
Once you know what each team member is good at, then we also implemented internal growth. So if a team member started as a front desk receptionist, she doesn't end up being a front desk receptionist. If you speak to any of them, they'll actually tell you the one thing we love about BU Laser is that there's growth. She believes in you. So
Mm-hmm.
if you put your hard work into it, you're not just going to stay at this level. You're always going to continue to move and to grow with the company. I always say BU will not stay where it is now. And at the end of 2024, BU will have 25 locations.
Wow.
So how do you see yourself growing with BU? That
Mm-hmm.
would be the question I ask my staff. And once I get the answer, we work in partnership with them, and the HR team builds a performance or builds a strategic plan for them to have that growth.
That's amazing. Yeah, I think that that's one thing as women we do really well is we're good at looking at the bigger picture and the community and how it impacts our employees. Like I look at scaling and I look at growth as how is this particular thing going to impact our employees, right? So if I'm bringing
Yes,
on a few key people in my industry, but I know our whole business model is about to change, I'm not changing anything until I have already pinpointed where those people will go in the organization because people are not disposable, right? So you have to
I agree.
find
I
you have
agree.
to find the route for them that where their skill sets will be appreciated and will thrive.
Yeah. And I honestly think part of leadership also, I've learned a lot from COVID, from
Mm,
pandemic. I've learned a lot how we think and we operate, during COVID, and how people, because the new generation or the next generation has changed, the mindsets
yeah,
have changed. So how do I take my mindset and work with their ways of, I guess, analyzing, thinking, or even working day to day?
yeah. Well, and a
That
lot
makes
of
sense.
the millennial and the Gen Z, they want meaning in their jobs. They don't just want to come in, do their job, and leave at the end of the day. They want it to have a meaning behind it.
Yes.
They want to have a
Yeah.
purpose. So it's important
It
as
almost
leaders.
feels like, yeah, it almost feels like it's not a 9 to 5 job.
Right.
It almost feels like it's part of you. It's who you are.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as much as you're gonna, and that's why I always say your voice is heard.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Well, that's beautiful. So tell me what advice you would give to 18-year-old you.
Oh my God, this is a good, this is really great because I wish I had that advice,
I
or I
know.
wish I had that guidance. Yes, I think because when, that's a good question because when I think to myself, I didn't really know what to expect at the age of 18. I just wanted to get out and go into the university world and see what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the biggest thing I would say is don't be afraid of change. Change
Mm,
is good. Venture out, try different types of, don't just stick to, I'm going to be a business analyst.
right, right.
Learn, learn different categories, different things. See where you see what your skills are, what you're skilled at. You'll be surprised. You'll
Mm,
surprise yourself. Test yourself. Get into the the discomfort zone, and then measure how high is high.
right.
I wish I had those advices. You've got Google. You got a lot of things to read, a lot of articles. Take risks. And most importantly, learn, learn,
Mm-hmm.
make mistakes and learn from it.
Mm-hmm.
It might be a very broad advice, but I guess from it, my daughter is 21, my son is 16. I always tell my son, it's a privilege to live in my house. Now that you're living in my,
Mm-hmm.
surviving in my house, learn what you want to be, who you want, what you want to, and don't just say, I want to be a computer scientist. Try that, and at the same time study Bitcoin, study stock market, study this. That way open up your mind to other things. Don't be just in one small zone and that's it. I just want to be a doctor and that's it.
Right. Yeah, I know. And don't consider everything else that you don't do a failure. Like there was when I was younger growing up, I only wanted to be an attorney. That was the only thing I wanted to do. And
You see,
when I couldn't afford law school, I considered it a failure. I get out of
there
college,
you go.
like I can't afford law school. Like as much as I have the grades to go, I can do it. I just couldn't afford it. And so I considered it a failure for a long time. And then I started into my career. I've, now own 3 different companies. And I think to myself, gosh, what would life have been like if I had just,
Yeah,
said, nope, it's an attorney or nothing. And I would have never discovered this other part of myself that makes me really happy. So,
yeah, and even me as an immigrant, like I'm gonna go back to the immigrant. I would
yeah.
say that we're very fortunate to live in a country where sky's the limit.
Yeah.
So any 18-year-old, I would say, is look into what the limits are and how high really is high.
Yeah, yeah. Because I mean, look at you. I mean, this is amazing what you're accomplishing, and I'm so proud of
Yeah.
you for what you're doing. And
Thank you, Angela.
you're not just changing your life, you're changing the lives of so many other people in the industry and who work for you and the franchisees. And so keep doing what you're doing. I think you're
Thank
doing
you.
amazing things. So
Thank you, Angela. Thank you.
so I just have one more question for you. And what is it that you wish more people knew?
I think a lot of people need to know their missions, their goals in life. Why are they here? I think we're so invested into surviving, paying bills. It's a survival mode all the time. Going back to the pandemic, what is the purpose of yourself? What is the
Mm,
purpose of this life? I know it's a little bit of a deep topic, but I think it's important, you as individual, not to lose yourself in what's happening today. You turn on CNN, you turn on you look at all this media, all this news, but just be true to yourself. What is
mhm.
your purpose? What are you here for? And also, most importantly, do not forget the foundation that was implemented into you from your family, from the roots.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
This might sound very deep, but I think that's important
Yeah.
to just really be true to yourself and know what's your purpose in life. Because a lot of people in their 50s, in their 40s would wake up and say, I don't want to be a doctor. I'm not happy. So, really, to eliminate that, just find out first what is your purpose? What do you want to be? And don't just focus on money making, income. That's all I want. I want a great life. I want a great car. That will come
Yeah.
if the purpose of life is right, because then you'll be happy. And
Right,
once you're
right.
passionate and happy, rest comes.
Absolutely. Great advice. Great advice.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Irena. I have really enjoyed our conversation. And
Thank you.
how can people find you?
So, again, www.BYou Laser Clinic. We're here we offer over 40 treatments
Wow.
from body treatments to laser to cosmetic injections. Come and get the Botox, the fillers.
Yeah.
We also offer Morpheus right now. Morpheus is very popular with skin tightening.
Yeah.
So a lot of different various treatments. We're not here to change you. We're here to just enhance your beauty. So we're
Hmm.
on Instagram at BYou Laser Clinic. We're on Facebook. We're all over social media, on Google, and our website. And if you want to call us, 1-800-355-3308. So we're just there for everyone.
Awesome. I love it. Well, thank you so much and keep doing what you're doing and keep crushing it. And I hope you guys are able to franchise everywhere. So
Thank you so
very
much.
exciting that you have big plans for that.
It was an honor to be on your podcast, Angela. Thank you so much. Happy Friday. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I appreciate all your time.
Yes, ma'am. So
Thank
you
you.
guys can also find Irena at prettypowerfulpodcast.com. We look forward to seeing you on a next episode. Have an amazing day, everyone.
Thank you so much, Angela. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining our guests on the Pretty Powerful Podcast. And we hope you've gained new insight and learned from exceptional women. Remember to subscribe or check out this and all episodes on prettypowerfulpodcast.com. Visit us next time, and until then, step into your own power.